Welcome back to America's Commercial Real Estate Show. I am Michael Bull, and this segment is brought to you by bullrealty.com for asset and occupancy solutions. Visit bullrealty.com, or if you recognize the name, call me directly. Well, today we're talking about press and PR strategies. My guests are Amy Wink, and she's with the Atlanta Business Chronicle. And we also have Rachel Tobin here, and she's with Jackson Spalding, a PR communications company. And of course, everyone knows biz journals around the country. And one of the things that's kind of evolved, I guess, over the last several years in PR and in the press and in is social media. It seems like it's gotten so big. First of all, Amy, how has it changed your world at the Business Chronicle and writing these business articles with Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and all this stuff?
What's really been interesting to me is, people will break news on social media. 5 years ago, I don't feel like I could write a story based on a tweet. And that's like totally common practice nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So it's really become a huge influence. It's just about how information spreads. Information spreads in all different ways today. Social media definitely helps us get our information out. It helps me find sources, contact sources. I've been in this business, over a decade, and I just think back to when I first started, there were hardly websites out there for companies, right? So it's amazing to just see the evolution of communication. Yeah. It really has been.
Yeah, and I guess in the PR world, social media has gotten huge, right?
Yes, very big. And there's terms like content marketing, social media strategy. So you really need to put some thinking behind it. Sometimes you put some money behind it. And we're starting to specialize this across our agency and really tell people this is a really effective way. It's cost effective and it's an effective way to get out your message the way you want. So again, we were talking earlier about can you stomach having the media kind of interpret your information? Well, if that's not working for you, or say you don't have a story that's really big enough for Amy to spend time on, maybe it's something about your company, your culture, maybe it's more marketing. I think social media and content marketing is a really good way to go.
Yeah, and if you're trying to get press for your project and you're designing a plan for that, should you incorporate the social media part and the timing for all of that?
We encourage people to create a calendar, so it's a content calendar. So so if you're going to have, say you are lucky enough to have a big story in the Chronicle, you want to wait, let that run, and then you want to capture that and start pushing it out on all your social channels and sharing it far and wide. And I think we hear from a lot of reporters, especially TV reporters, that if you are a company, say let's just pick a big global brand like Amazon. If you promise that to that reporter that you will retweet their content and you already have 1 million followers, that reporter loves that. So sometimes you actually even coordinate a little bit to say, let's cross-pollinate once the content's out there.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I think I've noticed that from my show. If I have guests that are going to get out and share the show very well, then that's kind of interesting to me because I want more people to know about the show. It's interesting when I'm out in the commercial real estate world, it seems like half the people I meet and talk to know about this show and they love it once they hear it or see it. But there's about half the people that don't know, never heard of it. I'm like, where have you been?
That's right.
So the guests can kind of help do that, right?
That's right.
I for commercial real estate, I have a pretty big social media following. When I look at some of the other industries, music, TV, whatever, no, it's tiny, right? But I guess it can be helpful. So what else in social media should companies think about with PR? I think one of the challenges that some of our clients that I recommend they get more involved in social media, they're almost afraid of it, that it's too easy for a CEO to go out there and make a mistake or something.
I would definitely say, be professional on social media, right? People Google everybody nowadays, and that stuff pops up to the top. So You know, your potential clients, they're going to read your tweets. They could look at your Facebook page if it's public, right? So first impression counts a lot. So I would be careful to keep your professionalism. I think, you know, some people get a little, quick to
fingers.
Yes. And I'd also say really know your audience or your potential consumer. I was just on a panel about social media recently, and there was this great young woman, and she works for a big developer in town. And it was really interesting to hear her talk about just how many market studies and how closely they look at demographics for each of their projects before they start their social media campaigns. Like, it's very targeted. So their different projects, whether they're in town or out in the suburbs, they approach social media totally different. I thought that was really interesting.
Really good. So one of the examples I wanted to give you for social media is one of the projects that has really used it well in Atlanta is the Atlanta Beltline. And this project it started as an idea, then they mowed some grass and created trails that people could experiment with, and then they finally started paving it. Well, all along the way, they created a voice and they created a presence. They used art and pop-up events and other things, almost so that now Atlantans feel like the Beltline is theirs. And you want to do that with your project. You want to think through what's the voice of your project. Who are you trying to reach? And I would tell you that not everyone needs to have their own Twitter account. Maybe you want it to come from the company, but let's determine what that voice is and what you share that's going to appeal to people that you want to follow you. So again, it goes back to strategy, thinking through your audiences, thinking through why are you communicating? What call to action are you making? If you can't articulate that, I think you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what you're really doing there, because even though it's free to be on Facebook and Instagram, it is not free to have an employee staff it. Right. And these are 24/7 outlets. Yeah. And so you've got to really invest in how you're managing it, what you're saying, what you're sharing, how you're responding. Yeah. There's, just like you said, that young lady has a whole strategy for different demographics. I mean, it's really getting extremely complex. So you want to put a lot of research and time into it before just diving in. Yeah,
those are good points. And I think you've got to realize, is that investment in time worthwhile? So I have some individual brokers that I train through commercialagentsuccess.com and think, well, should I get involved in social media? Yes, you should, but you're an independent agent working in one market. You got to be careful how much time you spend on it, because you really need to be with people, on the phone with people. That direct contact, is, you can't replace that, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's a great point.
What about for social media issues? Have you guys dealt with problem PR? Where a company has done something and maybe they've put something out in social media and they come to you and go, help, what do we do?
A lot.
What do they do? They can't just hide from it.
No,
right?
And because people take screenshots and, I think the best thing to do is try to quickly put up an apology or an explanation for what happened, and then try to get people to direct message you. If it's a consumer issue, like a product is malfunctioning, try to quickly get them to direct message you and get someone to help them quickly. And then if you can, encourage people to post back if everything's been solved. Right. So that's really more of a consumer issue. If it's a reputational issue, sometimes you just have to take your lumps, make your apology, and then let time wash over it and try to move on. Sometimes that's faster than others. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, what I want to get to next is some great examples of companies, of projects that you've seen do really well with PR and with the press. So stay with us. We're going to take a quick break and we'll hear about some great examples. Stay with us. I'm Michael Bull. This is America's Commercial Real Estate Show.